Hi everyone, Aiden here with eTrailer.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination e-bike rack here on our 2018 Toyota Highlander. Now this is a really nice e-bike rack with a 70-pound weight capacity per bike. Just make sure when you are carrying your e-bikes, you are taking that battery off just for safety while you're driving. Now the way it attaches is through these 3 wheel straps in the bottom. We got 1, 2, and 3 here in the front, and holding it upright with this clamp up top. This is holding it really solid in there. There's not any sort of free movement with the bike in the rack, which I like a lot. You also have a lock here on these hand knobs so we can lock the bike to the rack. And what's unique about this one is the way it tilts away with the bikes loaded. That isn't entirely a unique feature for e-bikes, for e-bike racks, but the way it does it is really nice. It makes it super easy to do. So all we got to do is come to the pivot point here. We've got a gray hand knob that we can loosen up. And once we've done that enough, we can just push it out of the way. And while holding this mast here, just push outward like this. We get almost a full 90-degree tilt with the bikes loaded. And then we get that hatch access with bikes on. Now, I really like this system, as opposed to some other racks like the Yakima on-ramp. That's another e-bike rack that does tilt, but it gets really heavy when you're at the end. You've got a fully loaded bike rack coming down and you're kind of crouching with it. It can get really uncomfortable, kind of dangerous. This, it's super easy to do alone. I mean, I can just lift it back up one-handed, no problem. You're put in a really nice spot where you can get a lot of good leverage and do it really easily. And with 70 pounds per bike, that's something you really want to be able to do. You want to be able to lift this easily. So for me, that's a major, major standout feature. Now to get the bike unloaded, we can use the ramp. It will attach at the back of each tray. It's not interchangeable. So there is a notch here. For us today, we don't really have a way to ramp this down, so we'll just avoid that for right now. That is a downside to this one versus something like the on-ramp. The ramp for the on-ramp, you can use it on either side. So if you're in a situation like this where you don't have enough room on one side, you can just go to the other side of the bike rack to install that ramp. So once we have all 3 of these wheel straps undone, we can get one hand on our bike, loosen up the clamp up top, and that will free up the bike to take off the rack. And another thing, because the mast is behind both bikes here by the vehicle, we can just grab the bike and lift it up. So if you can't use the ramp like us for whatever reason, you do have that nice option there where it's a little bit easier to get up and off. Now I can go ahead and replace these straps just like this to keep everything together. And I will actually take this opportunity now to get some measurements. First off, we've got ground clearance. This does have a bit of a rise in the shank, but because of the design, the way the Destination slopes down on the ends, you're going to be working with a ground clearance at the back here of 19 inches. I'd say that's still pretty good though. I don't think you're going to have to worry about bottoming out too much with this bike rack. Now, as far as length added goes, you are going to be adding 33 inches to the back of your Highlander right here. So when you've got it out like this, just watch out in those tight parking spaces, or when you're pulling in your garage. You probably don't want to pull it in your garage with the door closed. But what we can do is fold down this center mast here, starting by securing up this clamp so it's nice and stable. I'll move my hand out of the way there. I like that this hook and loop strap is there to just keep everything still. And then down at the bottom, we've got these rubber safety straps that we can undo, giving us access to these handles. Pop those open, then this mast can fold down. We can re-engage those levers and put those rubber safety straps back on. That's just making sure that these don't pop open on accident when we don't want it to. Now from here, we can go ahead, pop this clip out, and fold the rack upright. This is going to help save a lot of space. It will stop right there, and then we can find the alignment for the holes on this pin, re-secure it on the other side, and there we go. Now for this, it's only going to be sticking out about 16 inches. Again, that's to the end right here. It's a lot more manageable. I would still watch out in your garages since the Highlander is somewhat longer, but it's going to reduce that space quite a bit. Another thing to consider though is with your backup camera, this is a pretty bulky bike rack, so do watch out for that. You might lose that functionality with it folded up like this. Now down at the bottom, we can see it's going to fit in a 2" by 2" receiver tube and has a built-in stop on the shank here, so we can just pop it into the hitch. We don't have to worry about aligning a hitch pin hole, which is really nice. Then we've got our tool-free anti-rattle knob, so we just tighten that up and keeps it nice and solid in the hitch. And with our hitch pin, it is locking, so we don't have to worry about anyone taking the bike rack when we're not around. And overall, it's a really solid bike rack. Again, as far as e-bike racks go, this is probably one of my favorites just for the sake of how easy it is to tilt away. If you're on the fence about it and you're worried about how you're going to manage the weight, I wouldn't with this one. It makes it really easy and I feel really safe doing it. Thanks for watching.